For you guys. Good? Should I turn it up a bit?
It's perfect for me.
It's fine to me.
Okay. All right, so welcome guys. Thank you for your interest in short-term study abroad opportunities. My name is Lisa Branshaw. I'm the Assistant Director of Global and Experiential Education here in the School of Business. And so today we have 5 faculty members that are going to be presenting on their short-term opportunities for study abroad programs. I think true test of our global reach is that we have 2 of our faculty members Skyping with us live. So Professor Maddox is joining us from France, and then Professor Granger is off campus. And then we have a video from Professor Accuse, who is currently in Istanbul, but it's a little late there, so he provided us a video to share with students. But we're really happy to have you here. And so each of the faculty members will present on their programs. We'll then have former participants who attended these programs speak a little bit about their experience, so we're happy to have them. And then we also have student questions for specific to that program. We'll have an opportunity for you to pose any questions specific to each program. And then if we aren't able to get to everyone's question, we are having a small reception after this ends at 7 o'clock. If you have further questions or want to talk one-on-one with either the professors or the former participants. So we are recording this session for students who might not be able to make the session tonight. We are going to post it on our website. It should be up by close of business tomorrow, so if any of your colleagues couldn't make it, just know that that session will be posted tomorrow. And then a final note, we do have a class in here at 7:10, so we're really trying to kind of squeeze as much as we can into this session, but just know that we'll be expected to get out of here a little after 7. So with that, I'm going to talk briefly about why you should study abroad. I think really it's an opportunity to get exposure to new regions, to new sectors, and also to new ways of doing business. So it's really about supplementing the core coursework that you've already taken in your program, and then you have the opportunity to expand on it through these experiential opportunities. You're enhancing skills because you're all going to have to practice things like flexibility, adaptability, problem solving. When you're in a new place and you're encountering a new, not only culture, but also a new way of doing business. So I think it's a really great opportunity for you to expand your global network. So with these programs, you're having the opportunity to take classes with students from other GW School of Business programs, or from other programs within the university, but also our short-term exchanges really open you up to a network of students from all across the world. And then finally, it's a really great way to advance your degree completion. So a lot of you are working really hard, but you have an end goal in sight. That's why you went to school. So these programs are really all about allowing you to earn credit during traditional academic breaks so you can get that much closer to your degree completion. So these are the programs we're going to be talking about this evening, specifically. And there are handouts at the front, so if you want to grab one on your way out, you can. But first off, we're going to have Professor Maddox speak briefly about her program, Global Branding Strategy. Professor Maddox?
Yes, thank you. Hello, everyone. Bonjour from Paris. If you could hear behind me, you would hear the noise of the street. With music and all sorts of fun things going on here in Paris. By day, though, I'm teaching and will hopefully be teaching a lot of you in the Global Brand Strategy course that I'll be starting in November and culminating in a week here in Paris and Luxembourg. So it's really an interesting program because it's a real experiential learning program. And our client is actually a former GW MBA graduate who is now a marketing director at Ferrero Worldwide. They're famous for the chocolate, you know, the wonderful Ferrero Rocher. But more specifically, this project will involve the Kinder brand, which is their children's brand, not available in the U.S., but available globally, and they'd like to be in the U.S. And we'll be working with Ferrero to develop a global brand, mother brand strategy for Kinder. And the program will start in DC with an introduction of the project and coursework, some lectures, some one-on-one coaching. I try to do two things in the program. One is to teach you about global brand strategy, but also to teach you about pitching your plan to a real-world client. And so the course in DC involves not just lectures, but actual one-on-one coaching, where you'll be prepared to arrive in Paris, do some site visits and some touristic things here in Paris. We're going to be doing things like site visits to the International Chamber of Commerce. We're going to be going to the Picasso Museum. We're going to be cruising the Seine. And then we're going to be heading to the Champagne region and talking about luxury branding of Champagne, and then heading on to Luxembourg, where you'll be presenting in the Ferrero boardroom to the Ferrero executives and presenting your brand strategy campaign. And so you'll have a full day there, being able to interact with the client and learn about how one of our alums got a job internationally and how she's doing and what she's doing, as well as with other people at the firm. So I think it'll be a wonderful opportunity, both in terms of visiting multiple countries and seeing the region, learning about the culture, experiencing the wine, the cheese, the champagne, and the chocolate, and also meeting a real client and discussing your ideas with them.
Great. So thank you very much, Linda, for this for presenting. I don't know if Jackie and Amber also want to share some things about the experience.
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Jackie Sassouni, and I took Linda's class last winter break. We also went to Paris, and we worked with a client called La Compagnie, and they were a new French airline. And if you were looking for an experience that is experiential, you want to be on the ground, you want to be presenting to real-life clients and seeing how it is to work in marketing and advertising and branding, then this is definitely a class that I would suggest that you take. Linda is a great professor. I've worked with her many years now, and she is great at coaching and helping you improve your presentation skills. So anything experiential is what this class can offer, and a lot of fun and new connections to be made. Amber also took the class, and we knew each other from there.
Who was your client?
Our client was La Compagnie. They are a new French airline.
And we got to work really closely with, a really great agency partner in TBWA. We had an amazing client. I guess you could say. Basically, it was the agency's client. And so we had the opportunity to not only work directly with La Compagnie, but to also work with Nicolas, who was phenomenal. Just to get his insight into, what's actually happening day to day in, this global advertising and marketing environment. And, furthermore, being able to actually present on site at the agency with these other, basically our competitors. We were competitors, the two of us. But hearing that feedback directly from both the client themselves as well as a top executive in a global advertising and marketing agency was an amazing experience. And I work in advertising, so I already know obviously some of the ins and outs, but to kind of be on that sort of scale is just an awesome experience. And it's a lot of fun too.
Yeah, so much fun. We eat a lot of cheese. And wine and
Yes, there is a champagne tour. So students, do you guys have any questions for either the former participants or specifically for Professor Maddox? Don't be shy.
Over here.
Okay, what's your question?
Hi, Professor. Thank you so much for your time. I know it's quite late in Paris. But with the overseas dates, the 13 dates, about how much of it is client-facing? How much of it are you with meetings with them to kind of talk about their issues, et cetera?
I'm going to repeat the question into the microphone for the students for this recording, but also for Professor Maddox. The question is related to the overseas dates and the in-country itinerary. How much of that will be with a client where you're able to speak with them more about the project, and how much is also like other company visits or site visits?
The full day on the 7th of January will be devoted to spending time with the client. And you'll be presenting, you'll actually be part of competing teams who present your ideas on global branding for Kinder to the client. You'll get their feedback. Prior to that, we're going to be doing a different site visit, either in Paris, in France, or on the way to Luxembourg. But they won't be the same client every day, so you'll be exposed to different clients. You'll also be given the opportunity to interact with Kinder and Ferrero on an ongoing basis from November on. So you'll have contact information with the client where you'll be able to discuss. And at this point, we're going to have a contact in the U.S. with the U.S. Ferrero office and then with the Luxembourg Ferrero office as well, where you can ask questions and get information that you need.
Thank you, Professor.
Great. So any other questions? You will have an opportunity, so at the end, to pose any questions you have to Amber and Jackie in the reception that we'll have afterwards. And again, Professor Maddox is available by email, and so she's very responsive. If you have, specific questions that you want to ask her, feel free to send her an email. So thank you very much, Linda. Anything else you wanted to add?
The one thing I would say is that please make sure that you apply online through Passport and that you include in there a real statement about why you should be included as part of our team. Because I really look at that in determining the formation of the class members and the team members.
Great. Well, thank you very much. And so with that, we'll move on to the next program, which is going to be Turkey, looking at urbanization, marketing, and construction in emerging economies. So this is with Professor Abdullah Quz. As I mentioned before, he's currently in Istanbul. He splits his time between Istanbul and DC. So he did record a quick video. But just to give you guys some basics, it's a course that's running in January, so the dates overseas are going to be January 2nd through the 9th. You're going to have some on-campus meetings in November before you go, but it is a 3-credit course as well, and we'll just open the video right now.
Merhaba from Istanbul. I'm Abdullah Quz. I will be leading the STEP course entitled Urbanization, Marketing and Construction in Emerging Economies, the case of Turkey. My introduction is going to be very brief, as one of my students from last year, Mihret, will be talking to you right after this video about her own experience, so I'm sure that she will also give you a lot of clarification about the content of the course. This course is essentially about the emerging markets. Regardless of your location or industry, you have to understand the dynamics of the emerging economies, because these economies are becoming more and more important in today's global world. The course will consist of 2 or 3 classes in DC, which I plan to teach in late October, early November, and then a 1-week residency in Istanbul. In addition to giving you the overall general features of the emerging economies, this course will focus on 3 main areas, and this will be done through research project groups who will be doing projects, functions of the urbanization, in the case of Istanbul, Turkey, and the second one is going to be on retail, business and marketing as a result of the changing consumption patterns and rising new consumer classes in emerging economies. Finally, the third group will focus on the construction component of the emerging market revolution. The residency, as I said, will take place in Istanbul, a fascinating city of 15 million people with a very diverse culture and a deep-rooted history. So in addition to doing business through our visits and meetings with experts, academics, business people, and others, you will have plenty of time to enjoy this magnificent city. I look forward to meeting you all in October. Thank you.
I'm not sure what that video is, but we'll X out of this. So at this point, I'm going to open up the floor to, there we go. Open up the floor to Mira, who participated in the program last year in January, and so she's going to share a little bit about her experience. You can see.
Sure. Hi, my name is Maddox, as Lisa mentioned, and I was part of the group that went in January to Turkey. Initially, I was looking at a study abroad program that would expose me either to developing or emerging markets, and I actually looked at two other study programs, but the fact that, besides the title of the study abroad caught my attention, which was the case of Turkey and emerging market, the business implications of emerging market. And so when I initially, like I said, my interests were in investments, and as an MBA, but more specifically as someone who is concentrating in finance, I wanted something that would be able to incorporate all of that. There are various other programs I know that they have, including marketing and stuff like that. So when I went to, when I went to Turkey, or before going to Turkey, I should say, we did a lot of reading, both assigned and ones that were outside of the assigned. And that was just to kind of give me an exposure or an idea of what to expect. But what was interesting was going in residency gives you a different perspective than what you read in literature. Going, like I said, as a investment and finance concentration MBA student, I was looking, so one of the things we learned was that the country was suffering from a lot of current deficit, and that was mainly from lack of savings that the population had. And so the assumption I had was these people were living above their means and trying to, quote unquote, live, keep up with the Joneses. But when you go in country and you're exposed to not only the business aspect of it, but also the cultural and the social, you realize that it's not, the people aren't necessarily living up or trying to live up the Joneses. It's just that, Turkey's an expensive country to live. And so it gives you a different perspective. What I liked about the program was that we were able to, like you mentioned, you had a lot of time that you needed to put in before going. But at the same time, when you got there, you were able to accommodate not only a lot of the coursework, but also the social and the entertainment aspect of it. And it was really good because it gave you a balanced exposure. And so that was one of the things that I really appreciated. I actually went there with this mentality over, I've got to do this, I've got to get my A, I've got to get my A. But once you get there and you realize, okay, it's possible to get your A and still be able to enjoy the trip. So that was my experience with Turkey. Question?
It was a lot of fun.
Oh, Jin. He was there. So Jin was one of the people that was actually not only in the program, but also in my group. I should mention that what our group looked at was, there was a scenario where there was a group here that wanted to reinvest $500 million into the Turkish economy and we need to look at if it was worthy, whether they should invest or divest, I guess. And so we had to look at not only necessarily just the economic, but also the political aspect of Turkey, and give our conclusion as to whether they should reinvest or not invest. And that meant meeting not only with local businesses, but also with international companies. Like we met with IFC. And what I also really liked was with this program, we got to have an input of who we wanted to meet with. And so we had to do a lot of research ahead with the groups that we wanted to meet in order to be able to have our conclusion of what we should do.
Yeah, well, thank you. Does anyone have any questions specific to Turkey in that program? Okay, it comes highly recommended. So if you do want to speak more, again, after the session's over, we can have you speak with Brett and Jen too, who also did the program, which is great. So now we are going to switch gears to Israel, and Professor Granger is joining us remotely. She's offering the program on Information Systems Technology and Growth. So with that, I will pass it on to you, Professor Granger.
Thank you. We had a fabulous time. I was going to say both times, but let me tell you a little bit about the program. We will meet in January a couple of times, really to get used to the companies and to do a lot of research on Israel, because everybody knows what Israel is. Maybe they don't know where it is, but they definitely do not understand that this is a very small country, and yet it's known for its startups and a lot of the IT startups. To give you a clue of one of the things we did, one day we went to Checkpoint, which was a brand new building with Chrome and the latest technology all over the place. And from there we went to another startup. Checkpoint is no longer a startup. And the way we went to that startup, we went to the bakery, to the factory, up the cement stairs, and we finally got to the office. So we had this massive, big company followed by this really small startup. And we thought that was really interesting. We'll go to Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. We'll also do things like go to the Dead Sea, tour Jerusalem, the old city, and let's see, what else do I want to say about that? I'll have you read a couple of books on the Startup Nation. You'll learn a lot about the culture and how the culture and the military affect their businesses. The other thing that I think amazes my students all the time is the impact of the military on the startups and how they are not afraid to fail. If they fail, actually that looks better on their resume if they have failed once than if they've never failed. I'll leave you with the last company we went to was called Lightrix, and the day we were there, they were launching their second product, and after we were back about 3 weeks, I got an email from the CEO who said that within the first week they had 300,000 downloads of their new startup or their new launch. So it was very exciting because we had visited them the year before, and now to see how they're progressing. There are 4 doctoral students, and only one of them has finished their PhD. He said because the rest of us like being millionaires. I mean, I think Michael's there. Maybe you can add something to that.
Sure.
Great. So we'll pass the microphone on to Michael, who participated last year.
Hi, Cecily was with me last year as well.
Oh, hi.
This trip was amazing. If you really want to get a sense of all the technology innovations, a good portion of them have come out of Silicon Valley and Israel in the last, 25, 30 years, and it's just amazing because when you're on the ground, you'll see just how it's embedded in the culture there. It's just startup, and that's what everybody does. They try something, and you get some ideas that are just amazing out of the box. Some of the companies we visited with were just some of the things that they've come up with are just, amazing. So the culture, the food, everything was incredible. I know that some people have concern about safety, but that was never even a worry. It was just an amazing trip all the way around.
So when you talk about food, once you have comments there, you never want to eat it any place.
Yeah, everything is fresh. You will go into markets and the food is just unbelievably fresh. I came back with an extra suitcase full of spices and different things that are just amazing. So.
One of the things we do is we do a tasting in one of the markets where we have a guide, and he takes us around to different stalls and get literally a tasting of a lot of the different foods in Israel, with the history of them.
Great. Does anyone have any questions for Professor Granger or perhaps for Michael?
Maybe Cecily has something to add.
Yeah. Pass the microphone. microphone.
No?
Hi, Professor Granger. It was definitely one of the best opportunities. We did a lot of prep work in advance, so while we were there, we were quite busy visiting quite a number of companies each day, but there was a lot of time as well to explore the cultural aspect of it as well, and I definitely encourage you to apply to this program.
Yeah, I would say everybody on the group is still pretty close and pretty good friends as well. So.
Yeah.
They actually went bowling together one night, a couple of
We did. Yes, so the networking opportunity is definitely on a social side as well. So great, thanks guys. Any last call for questions related to the Israel program? All right, you have Professor Granger's email, and you're free to talk to the students afterwards, both Cecily and Michael, if you have further questions. But thank you, Mary and Linda, for joining us remotely. You're welcome to stay on if you like, or and listen to the rest of the presentation. With that, we're going to hand it over to Professor Zhang, who I see back there in the corner. He's going to present on China.
I don't think I need this.
Well, you need it because we're recording it.
Oh, okay. All right.
Thank you.
Thanks for giving me this opportunity to present or promote this course I'm going to teach. When I first asked to sort of pick a topic for this overseas trip to study tour to China, I was a little hesitant because obviously that country, a lot of people have a lot of interest in there, and quite some research and things that have been done and said about that country. So what can I possibly do to contribute to understanding over that part of the world? And then I did some research on my own. So I found out that I suddenly realized that much of the sort of attention usually is paid to those big players in China, such as multinational companies and state-owned enterprises. But if you look at the economic data, in fact, a big chunk of the economy is comprised of small private businesses, which account for the majority of employment there. And these small businesses actually face a lot of challenges, of course, opportunities. Some of the challenges linked to the nature of their sort of operations. On the one hand, they do not necessarily have the sophisticated expertise those multinational companies have. On the other hand, they typically do not enjoy state backings, which many of their state-owned enterprises would enjoy. So as a result, these companies actually have to rely on sometimes quite ingenious ways of doing businesses there. So this is why I pick this particular approach for this course. Basically, we'll go there and to look at the challenges and opportunities facing those small private businesses. Well, I guess the second question that you probably would like to answer about is that why going to China with me? I'm an accounting professor. So I can guarantee you that this won't be another accounting class. You probably have already had enough accounting classes. I'm originally from China, so now you can see, my Chinese probably is a little better than my English. If you got lost in some of the cities that we visit, chances are that I can get you back. And we will visit two cities. One is Beijing, the capital. The other is Shanghai, which is the economic capital. I actually was born in Shanghai. I went to college in Beijing, so I knew sort of both cities fairly well. And even though this is the first time I will do this course here in GW, I have done 3 similar courses when I was teaching at Duke University. So at one time I took like 40 full-time MBA students with me to China just by myself. So now I can imagine what a daunting job that was. So one anecdote that I can share with you is that one night we were actually in a place very close to Tibet, very high up in the mountain, beautiful place. And everybody had a great time there. So 5 o'clock in the morning, so I got a phone call in my hotel room. So there was a student fell ill. So I almost fell out of my bed, because if there's something happened to that student, I could be sued. So I took that so I went to the student's room. Well, apparently he had some relapses from some previous pre-existing conditions. It's not terribly serious, but still. I need to take him to a local hospital. Remember, this is like very remote corner of the country. Even for somebody like myself, who was born in that country, taking a look at a county hospital in that part of the country was an eye-opening experience for myself. But the purpose of the story is not to scare you guys off. The country is perfectly fine and safe. But this is something that I would encourage you to sort of to do some adventure, basically to see a very different country, a very different system, and hopefully you will learn from something out of this experience. And from my own experience, that I've seen a lot of expats in China, they don't necessarily speak Chinese, but they start their own business there. And hopefully this course will prove helpful to you if someday down the road you would like to go there and exploit the giant market there. Right. Any questions? Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you very much, Professor Lang. And again, if you have questions, you can address them with him afterwards in the reception outside. So we'll move right along, keep on moving to Florida. We're talking about the business of baseball and the economics of spring training. So if Professor Hyman comes forward.
Good evening, everybody. It's going to be much easier for me if my cohort and guest speaker goes first. I think he's really going to pave the way for me. So Ryan Hickey, who accompanied us to China in June on a Major League Baseball course in which we were observing Major League Baseball's efforts to grow the sport in China. Where are you, Ryan? Okay. So Ryan's going to talk a little bit about that experience, and then I'm going to follow him.
Thank you, Professor Hyman. First and foremost, my name is Ryan Hickey. I went to the Major League Baseball course in China this past summer. My experience over there was maybe a little bit different than most study abroad programs, and that's partly in thanks to Professor Hyman setting this course up. I played baseball here at GW, and 2 weeks prior to the course starting, I had the opportunity to go over and work with Major League Baseball and be a coach at the development centers that they have, 3 centers outside Shanghai. And that's really where the study abroad course for me just, set itself apart from every other course that I've kind of ever taken. It gives you a chance to, really network. And it started before the class even started, before I even got to China, working with some of the Major League Baseball executives in trying to get myself over there to be a coach and to work with Major League Baseball, which is, if anyone has any aspirations in working Major League Baseball, I highly recommend taking the Florida course. And really from there, once we got into China, we spent time with organizations like Nike, the National Basketball Association, the NFL, and all of those opportunities give you a chance to meet someone and to interact with someone who's working in that field that maybe you're trying to crack into. Even though we went on a trip for Major League Baseball, we were able to meet all those different organizations and meet with the Chinese embassy, and it just allows you a chance for you to network yourself. It's more than just a 3-credit course. Especially for me, it was a chance to maybe pursue a career growing Major League Baseball in another country. So for any of you that may be on the fringe of taking a study abroad course, I would highly, highly recommend it.
It's my turn. Thank you, Ryan. And I also want to acknowledge Franklin Bradford, who's in the room, who was on the trip. And it was wonderful to be with. There may be some others in the room that I don't see right now. So this is a trip in which we are exploring the economics of baseball in Florida during spring training. And spring training is a really interesting and I think advantageous time to be exploring baseball in this way because it's a very relaxed atmosphere. You can get much closer to the players and others who are really at the center of the game. So the course will begin with 3 or 4 sessions on campus and will consist of a discussion of readings, guest speakers, and we will begin working on projects. Every student in the class will be involved in some sort of substantial project. Then we will go to Florida during spring break for a week, and we will visit 5 or 6 major league spring training sites. On our tentative list are the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Orioles, the Phillies, the Nationals, of course. And then we're going to spend a day, I think, at historic Dodger Town, which is the former home of the Los Angeles Dodgers in Vero Beach, and the site of spring training for the Dodgers when Jackie Robinson broke into baseball in 1947. And the Dodgers at that time had to create their own spring training facility because of the segregation policies in effect in Florida at the time. There was no place for Jackie Robinson to train with the Dodgers in Florida, so the Dodgers had to create their own spring training facility. So this is going to be a wonderful opportunity to really go behind the scenes at spring training and meet with general managers, players, managers, player agents. I think we'll meet with groundskeepers and ticket takers and the people who sell popcorn and really get a deep understanding of the economics of baseball in Florida. There'll be a series of projects tied to our research both in Washington and in Florida. And I think if you're interested not only in baseball, but if you're interested in the business of sports, I think this is going to be a fun week. And I have to say, it's also in Florida during spring break, so that's not a real painful place to be during spring break. But I'd be happy to talk. There's been, I'm grateful to say, a lot of interest in the trip so far. And it's thrilling, exciting to see such a big group here. So if there are people in the room who I haven't spoken with who have an interest in the trip, I'm happy to talk to you now or afterward at the reception. Okay? Questions? You did a good job.
Great job.
Okay.
All right. So thank you very much, Professor Hyman. We're going to move right along. I'm going to be talking about our short-term exchange programs very briefly. We also have a student who completed not 1 but 2 short-term exchanges last year, so you'll get to hear from him. But I think to highlight, these short-term exchange programs are a really great opportunity. These are top business schools that the GW has partnered with, and they're exclusive to graduate school of business students. So they're unique opportunities for these institutions to highlight their areas of expertise, but it's also a really kind of global classroom. So they're inviting not only students from GW, but also students from all of their partner institutions around the world. So it's a really great opportunity. They're run entirely by the partner institutions, but there is an internal application process here at GW that you do have to go through. So we have a program also to France, but this is going to be located in Nantes. So Audencia School of Management is our partner in Nantes. It's about a 2-hour train ride from Paris. And it is kind of a choose-your-own-adventure type of study abroad program. So they are offering it over the course of 3 weeks in January, and it allows you the opportunity to pick classes that are on a variety of different topics. So you would pick classes from within these different groups. This is all available on the website, so you can check it out there too. But basically, you're participating, and you can choose to participate in 2 weeks, in 1 week, whichever classes you find. There's different ways that you can mix and match it. So I'll just kind of leave it at that. If you have specific questions, let me know. It is important to highlight, though, that this course does bleed into the start of the spring semester. So if you are planning to participate, you would likely miss at least the first week of class, if not the second week of class if you did the whole program. So that's something that's really important to keep in mind. If you're doing, a semester-long course or a course in that first half of the semester, you would be missing 2 weeks of class, which is pretty, or 1 or 2 weeks of class. So either make sure that you're getting approval from your faculty before you do so, or it's good for maybe some of the professional MBA students who are taking other elective classes that are offered later on in the semester. But I'll hand it over really quickly to Patrick, who's here to talk a bit about his experience in the Audencia program last year.
Thank you, Lisa. Sure enough, this. Okay, cool. All right, thanks. So France. France was awesome. That's all I can say. We flew into Paris, and we were in Paris for 3 days. And from Paris, we went to Audencia, not Audencia. And so, basically, I think it was Thursday and Friday, we were in Paris, and we were looking at the European crisis and how Europe is always constantly trying to bring itself together, just to be kind of torn apart again, but how it impacts the economic markets and how it impacts just the overall stability of the region. We took a bus from Paris through Bordeaux and into Normandy, or maybe it was, not Bordeaux, I'm sorry, Normandy and Brittany. And we stopped along the way to Mont Saint-Michel, and then when we were in Audencia, we went to kind of visit a couple of places. We did the Louvre Butter Biscuit Company, who they also have a really neat chateau near Nantes, and we also did the Cointreau factory that produces the Cointreau, the liqueur, and we got to do a cool little tasting afterwards. And that's my partner and I in the distillery room. So and that was a pretty cool trip. And then, but it was when we were in Nantes, we were with the Nantes Business School of Management, and we were looking at brand activation. We were looking at we also had an independent project. We did a food truck app project for the students in Nantes, and we also did. There was another project we did too, and I can't remember what that one was. But it was, all in all, it was a great experience. The food was wonderful. It kind of spoiled me for croissants. I can't eat croissants in the United States anymore because they were just delicious. But it was, you learn a lot, and we definitely learned a lot through the program. And part of learning through the program is not necessarily what you learn in the books or what you necessarily learn in the classroom. Is learning to navigate a culture that is different from your own. And it is learning to navigate a language that is different from your own, and just an environment that is different from your own. And that is what kind of brings the entire experience together. And you put those elements together, and you get this really wonderful, awesome experience. So that was France.
Great. So as Patrick mentioned, there are opportunities for you to pick classes that some are focused in marketing, so you end up doing, a small project, be it on an app. I know there were also students that were doing a consulting project for Cointreau, and so that was one of the reasons for the visit. So these partners do also combine, company visits with lectures from the professors on campus at the Audencia campus in Nantes. So if you have further questions, Patrick and Farhat are also available after the presentation. We also have another program in January that's going to Tel Aviv, and that's through a partnership with Tel Aviv University. The Recanati School of Business offers entrepreneurship and innovation, so it's a around 2-week course that they run. We have 6 spots available for this program to Israel in January. It's a 3-credit course, and really it's combining their area of expertise, which is really kind of Israel as a startup nation, but they're focusing specifically on kind of the Israeli model and how it was done. But they have their professors doing lectures in the morning, and then they also have company visits in the afternoon. So it's something that's offered to a lot of U.S. business schools. So it's a really great opportunity to network with other MBAs But again, this is something that's open only to MBA students, but it is, and we have 6 spots available. So if you are at all interested, definitely let me know. I'm happy to share any information if you have further questions about that program. We also have a program to Mexico, so these are now our spring break programs. So we're looking at Mexico as an emerging market. So the breakdown of this program is that it's in Mexico City, so they combine lectures from their faculty, but they also have lectures, bring in guest lecturers from top companies in Mexico and in Latin America. So for example, the former CEO of Dole for Latin America or GE for Latin America have been prior guest speakers. So they really have a great network, IPADE, within Mexico and Latin America. So they bring in really great speakers to come and speak with students. They pair that with case studies. So they do follow the case study method for instruction. So you have a couple cases that you'll review and discuss as a group. So a really nice feature of this program is that you're taking this course along with IPADE students, IPADE MBA students. So it's actually a required course for their MBA. So you'll be paired in groups of 10 with students from other exchange institutions, so other partner institutions that are participating, but then also the IPADE local students. So you'll be able to get their perspective as well. The overseas dates are through the course of spring break. They offer some cultural activities too, so you're getting to go to Teotihuacan, to the ruins, and then also the Mexican students will organize fun activities. Usually they do an evening out to see Mexican wrestling or go to the Tequila Museum, so they're trying to also incorporate some fun activities into this program. But again, it's another opportunity offered from one of our partner institutions, and a really great opportunity. We have a program going to Denmark. This is looking at sustainability and corporate social responsibility in Scandinavia. Obviously, the Nordic countries are really well known for kind of breaking through in this industry very early on, and they've done a lot with it. And so the professor that we have on this program is really strong in this area. We have a couple participants, because Rachel did it too, who can speak on this program. But really it's 1.5 credits. It's through the week of spring break. We only have 10 spots available for this program, so it can be fairly competitive. It's really designed for people that have a focus on sustainability or are, perhaps pursuing the certificate in responsible management. But it's really an opportunity to visit companies in Denmark, in Copenhagen, who and speak with their director of CSR. Or we also did a visit to Deloitte and speak with the consultant who kind of heads the sustainability consulting branch within Deloitte in Denmark. So it's a really great opportunity to meet with people. They did an IKEA case study looking at sustainability with IKEA, and the person that the case was written about actually was able to come to the class and speak with the student and kind of provide her perspective of what it was like actually going through the case. So it's a really unique program available to students, and I'll hand it off to, I don't know if Farhat wants to talk about this one, since you were able to talk about the France one.
Okay. Okay. Sample that. Okay. My name is Farhat Karsu. I'm a second year part-time MBA student, so actually, hopefully I'll be finishing in May. So I participated in the Audencia program in January. I took 4.5 hours in 10 days. That was really intense. And then I also took the Copenhagen class, which is 1.5 hours. Both programs were actually unique in their own little perspective. Copenhagen was, we had students from Northwestern University, and then I think the professor was teaching at Berkeley, and it was very intense, very small group, so you talk a lot, and there's a lot of collaboration going on back and forth. So it's not one of those things that you can just hide on the back and try to get credit hours. And you learn a lot from other people, that's why you're there. Audencia it's different. So for myself, I'm originally from Turkey, so my expectation from coming from the southern part of the Mediterranean part of the world, I thought French were a little bit more German or English. like rigid and all that stuff because I work for a German company. They were no different than actually typical Mediterraneans. Like everything was late. I mean, we had coffee on the first day. Coffee didn't arrive till like 10 a.m., right? If I remember. So those are kind of like things that you learn about different cultures, like from a different perspective. You have to, like one of the things that I'm not good at is I'm now getting the MBA. I need to actually get over it. Is my public speaking. So you expect you will speak a lot in front of other people. So that was kind of good for me. I kind of started getting out of my comfort zone, try to speak, and kind of speak what I'm talking about or things like that. So anyways, so it's not having that issue. Getting over it, so I'm going to go back again. I think I'm going to do the Audencia for the Brussels one. That's what I'm thinking about doing. So, because that one has lots of collaboration, some game playing. So, for me, it's a lot different than GW, or if you're speaking of the academics, like how it's been structured. It's more of, I think, it's more of an experience from that perspective, lots of case studies. Lots of talking. You have to write up some, cases and present. So don't go with like a GW experience and then take it over there, because the point of going over there is like you're trying to get different experience, different perspective from different students. So that's kind of overall my experience has been. It's been a positive one, so I want to come back and do another one. So, yep, thank you.
Well, that's good. That's a good point to end on, because there's a lot of people in the audience who has participated in a short-term program before. Raise your hands. So we have a couple in the audience, so you can see that you are among colleagues who do multiple programs, because I do think there is really a benefit to doing more than one. You can get something different from each experience. So with that, I think we'll move on to a final plug, because we do have partner institutions around the world, and they do offer the opportunity to go for a full semester, so you can expand on your short-term program and go for a full semester. We have 20 partners around the world. But again, these are top business schools with really unique areas of expertise. In terms of the application process and final steps for the short-term programs, as a final note, you would apply online through GW Passport. So the handouts that we have in the room, they all have our website at the bottom. So you go onto our website. We have a list of all of the short-term opportunities. There's an Apply Now button for each of the programs, and that's how you open an online application. I would say if you're interested in more than one program, apply to all the programs that interest you, because again, these are competitive programs. We can't guarantee how much space will be available on the different programs. The application closes at 11:59 on the deadline, so don't wait until the last minute to be writing your personal statement, because it will cut you off once midnight hits. And that's Eastern Standard Time for those of us who are joining us remotely and listening to this recording. So the faculty members themselves will review the applications to their programs, and then our office will review the short-term exchange applications. But we will get you a decision within the week of your application, so it is a pretty quick turnaround that you'll hear from us. And so then you will have 5 business days to submit a $500 deposit. That deposit is confirming your participation in the program. It's letting us know that you're interested and we can count on you to participate. But that $500 deposit gets credited to your student account for the spring semester. So it will show up on your student account as a credit. And so you can put that towards your tuition for the course or the program fee that some of these programs have for the costs that are included off campus. We then register you in the course, so our office will enroll you in these courses. We do assign a program fee for any logistical arrangements that we make on students' behalf. So sometimes this includes lodging or local transportation. The cultural visits that we mentioned, we'll charge a small fee for, so that's all lumped into the program fee. And a cost estimate of that program fee and any out-of-pocket expenses you would have is linked on each program's webpage, so you can refer to that. And then finally, just wait for us before you purchase your flight. If that's the final piece of advice I can give you, is we will tell you when you can purchase your flight, so it's very important to wait to do that. So just make sure that you're able to travel overseas, get your passports. If you're international students, just make sure you're going through the process to get approval to travel and come back. But I am available, the faculty are available by email, coming by, stopping by to see me. So again, we're happy to answer any questions. If any students have final questions for Professor Maddox or Professor Granger before they leave us, you can come forward and we can hopefully get them answered really quick before we have to get out of the classroom. So thank you guys very much.